You look like a little steamboat.
Here's the French cleat system, or the French strip system. It's a series of strips cut at a 45-degree angle. I have one here to show you. This goes on the wall like this, and then the different sections that hold the tools have the other 45-degree strip, so that they hook together and this stays secure. In today's video, I want to show you how I cut this. I'll give you the exact measurements I used, which worked really well for me. Honestly, I'd never used this system before, and so far I really like it, especially because it's super versatile. You can move the sections wherever you want, and I really like that each tool has its own place. But above all, the great advantage of this French cleat system is that you can move this. When we make fixed furniture in the workshop, we usually end up a bit limited in terms of organization. Or if we want to move something or buy a new tool, it becomes a bit more complicated to take apart the furniture and create another space with this system. Honestly, it looks really good. Can you see that we already have our oak finishes here? We've put some care into this workshop these days, do you remember? It used to be a horrible woodshed. Let me show you some pictures here so you can see what it looked like before. And now it's looking much nicer. I have the walnut top, which I'm saving to make the carpenter's bench. With all the moving I've done, honestly, I haven't had time, but that will come. We also have to make a door there, and so on. So the idea is to put an edge bander here and the extractor over there in that corner. On this wall, there will be a full cabinet with a countertop that I'm going to make out of oak, really nice. And in the middle, or around there, is where the miter saw will go, which is that monster over there, that tool that's very important to have. And of course, the new star of the workshop, which is this beautiful soft top. I already made a video about it. Check it out if you haven't seen it. I've been using it a lot, and honestly, it's a luxury saw. It's an amazing table saw. Upgrading from the old one to this soft top was a huge improvement. I have it connected here to this vacuum without any kind of cyclone system to collect the sawdust. It's just direct. But of course, later on with the extractor, that'll get better. Let's get to it. So I'm going to show you how I cut these French slats. The method I used was to first cut a square slat, that is, without the 45-degree cut. This one here, and then run this slat through the table saw. That way you get two French cleats in one pass. I think it's the best method, at least it worked best for me. Remember that these two slats have to be the same size. These are the ones that will go on the wall. So you have to take into account the thickness of the blade when you calculate where to set your parallel fence. To make your life a little easier, I'm going to give you the exact measurements that I used. The square strip that we're going to cut later with the circular saw should measure exactly 11.8 centimeters. And then, when we have this strip, we need to set the parallel stop at exactly 4.7 centimeters. And the blade, of course, set it at 45 degrees. In summary, then, we need to cut a square strip of 11.8 centimeters, and then set the table saw's parallel stop at 4.7 centimeters. To get two French cleats of the same size, which will be mounted on the wall, I recommend that you go from the bottom up. It's very important that the first one is well leveled. You can use a laser level if you have one, or this regular level works perfectly too. Once it's attached to the wall with screws, nails, or whatever you have, we're going to use these little pieces of French cleat as spacers so we don't have to measure every time. So it's important that this first one is well leveled. And then with two spacers of the same width, we can do the rest of the work without any problem. There, and then we would put this one here. And lower the AL. The best will change.
Consecutivamente. Algo que tienen que considerar
It's just that scholars necessarily seal this prison
que van a ir en las secciones que llevan
that they're going to lower it. Knights tempted what this was doing here, and we tell what the... So, we have two options. If we use spacers that are the same width as the slats that go on the wall, then we have to make the slats that go in the sections a little narrower afterwards. The other option would be to use slightly wider spacers so that this opening is wider. It's that simple. I've noticed that the tools that stick out from the wall tend to put pressure that sometimes makes the slat come off. Just like this movement here, backwards. And for sections that are very heavy or that stick out backwards, for example, it could be a shelf for glue or these hammers here. I recommend that this piece goes to the second slat. That way this support will prevent the section from falling backwards. If you notice, this section here has the French cleat A45 here, and then a section that goes all the way down and rests here on this slat. I used an 18mm plywood, which is equivalent to 3/4 of an inch. I think with 15mm too, or half an inch, I think it will work fine, half an inch. I think it's 12mm. You would have to try. I haven't tried with thinner sizes than this one, which is 18mm. I think the idea here is to go tool by tool, making a place for each one. If you have time, I think this can be a job that's actually pretty enjoyable. I had a lot of fun doing this part. In fact, and it can end up looking nice. I used oak here to create a bit of contrast with the background. I have a Marupa veneer, which is a really light wood, and then this plywood, which is also lighter than the Marupa. And I think this oak color looks nice. And also it draws attention, like it shows where the tools are, each tool with its own place. A bit obsessive, maybe, about some things around here. Well, this is a magnetic guide for cutting dovetails, but here, this detail was 100% unnecessary. Maybe it took me more time than just putting in a screw, a nail, or even a dowel, but look how nice that turned out. At least I really like it. It's truly a pleasure to have everything here organized, arranged, ready to use. Work will get done faster in the workshop, and everything will stay organized. That way I can spend my time designing or creating things and not looking for tools, which is really unpleasant. You guys probably already know. To fasten the slats, I couldn't find the studs. The studs, for those who don't know, they're the studs that go from the top plate, from the top beam, down to the bottom plate on the floor. They're the ones that give support to the walls. I didn't find those studs here. I just spaced the screws evenly and used a fairly wide thread. And the Marupa, since it's installed with tongue and groove, honestly, it's pretty sturdy and firm, so I don't think there will be any problem. I'd be really surprised if this wall ever falls down. I think they'll ask why I used flathead screws instead of Phillips ones. Here you can also see that some are Torx type, and there are some smaller flathead ones. Well, like these. Why is that? Simply because I like them. I think they look nice. They give it a bit of a vintage touch. And I don't know. I just like them. And these Torx ones? I think they look nice because they look like they're made of bronze. The oak, kind of rustic like this, with the bronze, it would be polished bronze, right? It looks really nice, so it's just a matter of personal taste. You can fasten it with whatever you want. Here, for example, I put screws in from the back into the oak. Let me see if I can show you without dropping this. There are 3 screws. They're long, also with a wide thread. More than enough, and I dropped the glue. I send you a hug, friends, from this workshop that's already taking shape. And I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye-bye.